Hello nerds and nerdettes, welcome back to the channel where once again we have a new review for you guys on a recently released book, but it's not an omnibus this time. It is a standard edition hardcover by DC, which is none other than Superman Space Age, a very exciting book because I am a huge Superman fan. But before we jump into any of the details, I do want to remind you guys that if you're looking for this book or any of the other books that I've reviewed on my channel, to use the channel sponsor or head to the channel sponsor, organicpricebooks.com. Use the discount code STAYNERDY for $2 off your order, as well as to help support the channel, as well as OPB. But without further ado, let's get into the book itself. This book does have a cover price of $29.99 as well as a page count of 264 pages. It is not a massive book. It is fairly dense story-wise, but not in its page count. But we'll go over that a little bit during the overhead shots. And here we are, Superman Space Age by Mark Russell and Michael and Laura Allred, the standard edition hardcover. This is a very beautiful book. Very interesting spine. Then on the back you have some Allred art for a lot of the characters that are featured in this book. I am very surprised that this book was not oversized, or at least a deluxe edition, because of the Allred art, but I'll take what we can get. I am a huge Superman fan, so let's dive into what's underneath this dust jacket. Underneath the dust jacket we have a kind of newspaper kind of look to it, but before we dive into that, we'll take a look at the flaps. We have a nice Allred image of Superman, and then a little bit about the creators and Superman's arm. It is a wraparound from the other side. I think they could have done a little bit better with that, but it is what it is. Getting into the hardcover, we do have two images on the front and back. Front image being that of a Daily Planet newspaper, and then on the back, Superman and the Justice League. Looks to be sewn binding. It could be glued because it sits so flat, but I do see a slight ribbon there, so it could be sewn binding. That's what I'm going to go with. Okay, getting right into the book, we do have some Allred art underlaid on the end sheets. A little title page there, and then the official title page. We have all the creators, writer Mark Russell, Michael and Laura Allred on art and colors, Dave Sharp, the letterer, and then obviously Allred on the collection cover artist. And then we get right into the first issue, picking up with a Superman during 1985, where a end of the world event is taking place. It is very much a apocalyptic setting, apocalyptic events that are taking place. And you pick up with him pretty much breaking the news to his wife, Lois Lane, and his son, Jonathan Kent, that the world is ending and things are not going to be all right. And it is a very grim opening, to say the least. Then we immediately have a flashback into Clark's younger years, pre-becoming Superman, where we pretty much pick up with almost his origins, or a retelling of his origins, at least in this story that is being told here. To avoid spoilers, we're obviously not going to touch deeply on what exactly takes place and what the villain is, or what the apocalyptic event is that is taking place, but we will talk a little bit about the themes and characters that are featured. So, as I touched on, you are going to be having a lot of Superman's origin, in a way, retold, but in Mark Russell's own way. But you're also going to have a couple other origins kind of delve a little into, such as Batman, Hal Jordan. You're also obviously going to have kind of the typical rogues gallery making an appearance as well, such as Lex Luthor, Brainiac, kind of your standard Superman villains that you would somewhat expect, but they do make an appearance in this book. It is such a interesting take on the characters to see the Allreds not only color them, but redesign a lot of their characters and how they look, and give them their own twist and flair to the costumes. Mark Russell also gives them a lot of different personalities, because the Justice League is also featured in this book, It is a Superman book, but it focuses a lot on Batman as well as the Justice League in general. So even though it is a Superman book and he is obviously the main character that is focused on, you do have a lot of other supporting characters that are being focused on as well. The themes that are very much explored through this book, which to me is a huge highlight to the book, is the view and lens towards hope and what that means for people depending on if they are of a optimistic mindset or maybe a pessimistic mindset. And I think there's very interesting dialogue throughout its pages about kind of mindsets and lenses that you may have on certain events, things that happen throughout life, not only to yourself but other people. There are a lot of heartfelt scenes between Clark and John Kent or Pa Kent, where they just kind of talk about life and how to handle things the quick way or the right way. And there's a lot of quotes throughout this book that can definitely be applied in a lot of instances to real life, your life as the reader, which I am always a huge fan of when books have a lesson that can be learned throughout its pages. Some of the characters that I think stand out are Lex Luthor. You definitely have a Superman Returns feeling to the Lex that is in these pages. Very businessy and conniving, but also kind of a chatterbox, loves talking to people, loves talking himself up and talking down to those that he sees as lesser than him. But also Batman gets focused on, as I touched on already, and it's very interesting to see the difference between Superman and Batman in this world and how they view the same thing extremely differently, which I honestly think is the main inclusion or the main reason for the inclusion of Batman, is to kind of explore the way that two different people with two different upbringings, two different childhoods, two different worlds that they live in could see one thing two different ways. And I think that is so interesting, such an interesting concept to kind of explore and see kind of unfold through its pages. Now, one thing I will touch on pertaining to the end is that there is a little bit to be desired by the end. I definitely wanted a little bit more from the ending. I feel like it definitely ended with a little bit of ambiguity and just not the ending I was kind of expecting, I guess, in a way, which could definitely be a little bit of my idealism getting in the way there, thinking that it should have ended a certain way or something along those lines. But I still do think it was very much interesting to kind of see the scenes that were taking place and what exactly was being explored through the themes of the story. Obviously, I just skipped the end there because I do not want to touch on what happens at the end, because I would love for you guys to go into that blind and let me know what you guys think about the ending overall. But we do have some variant covers here, and then also some sketches, playing around with the title, a lot of pretty interesting extras throughout, as well as a full-on Action Comics 1050 by Michael and Laura Allred, which is such a good cover. But that does wrap up the book, so we'll head back to the table for some closing thoughts, and make sure to comment down below and let me know what you guys think about the ending. I'm very curious. Welcome back, nerds and nerdettes. So overall, I did very much enjoy my reading experience. As I've said before, I am a huge Superman fan, so 9 times out of 10, I do enjoy his stories. Mark Russell on writing duties pertaining to this book. I very much enjoyed a lot of the dialogue that was taking place in his panels and throughout his story. It speaks a lot to humanity as well as hope and the different lenses pertaining to hope and how different people view it, pertaining to people that are either optimistic or pessimistic, which I very much enjoy that kind of internal dialogue that was taking place during my read through of this book. It also very much hits home the importance of Superman and what exactly makes him heroic, what makes a hero in general. And you also have a lot of quotes throughout this book that very much feel like something you want to hold on to and you can learn from, which I'm always a huge fan of books that allow you to do that, or at least achieve that. Pertaining to the art itself by Allred, same artist on The Silver Surfer, Dan Slott, as well as Mad Men, Ecstatic. Beautiful art throughout the entire book. Allred's art, colors, paneling, whatever it may be, absolutely knocked it out of the park the entire time. Very much made it feel like a fragment of a specific time period, which is kind of what this book is portraying itself as in a way. If you've read it, you know kind of what I'm referencing there. And you definitely get that feel through the art, and it feels like the art is supposed to be there because of the contents of the story, which I always love when a artist and a writer work symbiotically and it just feels very natural. And that's definitely what this book feels like overall. Very surprising as far as the story goes, based on the inclusion, or one thing that I found surprising. Sorry, that was a jumbled mess. Um, One thing I found super surprising was the inclusion of a lot of the Justice League members, and also them making an appearance throughout the pages as well. A lot of Batman through here, even though it is a Superman titled book. So, and I know Superman and Batman do go hand in hand, but still, it's a Superman titled book, so I was very much surprised by that. And a lot of his scenes and his design in general was absolutely beautiful. I found myself kind of enjoying even those scenes a little more than even the Superman scenes. So I would love to see like a Batman Space Age or Nuclear Age or something like that, kind of venturing more into that type of character. Obviously, we can't because of what took place in the book, but no spoilers there. But still, I think it would be an interesting avenue to go. But overall, I do give the book a 7.9 out of 10. I do not think it's the strongest story when it comes to Superman stories. I have so many that I can list off the top of my head that I feel performed overall just a little bit better. Um, but I still did very much enjoy my reading experience. I think this is one of those books that if you want to understand the importance, the heroism, what Superman's about, who Superman is, this is a great book for that. So it is great for new readers. So I highly recommend you guys checking it out. And that does wrap up today's review. Thank you so much for watching as always. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself hanging out with me talking about this awesome book. Comment down below, let me know what you guys thought, how you guys received the story. By the end of this book, I felt myself wanting more, and I'm very curious if you guys, as other readers of maybe the same title, if you had that similar feeling by the end of the book. So sound off down below, let me know. I would love to have a conversation with you guys. Also, if you haven't joined the Illuminati, hit that subscribe button. And also, if you do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. I would very much appreciate both those things. But if you did enjoy today's video, you can also hit that bell icon. That way you can get notified anytime I put out content. But other than that, I very much enjoyed this book. I very much enjoyed talking about it with you guys. And of course, as always, stay nerdy.